Yo, yo, yo. We're ready to get right into it. I don't want to waste your time. Let's get it.
We're starting off with Raw, as the show kicked off in dramatic fashion with Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio enjoying a victory lap after beating down the Terror Twins last week. Morgan earned a chorus of boos for saying she took everything she could from Rhea Ripley, and those boos grew as she called Mysterio the most beautiful man in the world. Rhea Ripley walked out to stop their party, and after crashing the segment, dropped two pieces of huge news about their upcoming Women's World title match at Bad Blood. Ripley shared that not only is she fully cleared for the match with Morgan in less than 2 weeks, but Dominic, a major factor in why Liv currently holds the gold, won't be able to interfere. She revealed that Adam Pearce decided that the title match at Bad Blood would have a specific stipulation where Dominic Mysterio would be trapped above the ring in a shark cage. The Eradicator then rocked Morgan with a ferocious headbutt that rocked the champion, leaving Morgan reeling and her dom-dom to check on her. WWE's latest shark cage on the main roster occurred back in SummerSlam 2017 when Big Cass took on the Big Show with Enzo Amore suspended above the ring. During the match, Amore was able to sneak through the bars of the cage and enter the fracas, and we're sure Dominic will try and do something to aid Morgan in this title match. What do you think of this stipulation? Will it keep Dominic at bay, or could he still find a way to influence the outcome? Share your thoughts and predictions down below. While this shark cage stipulation will be exciting to see, it wasn't entirely a surprise to fans, as WWE accidentally spoiled Rhea's announcement before she made it on Raw. Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio pulled up in a lowrider, reminding Attitude Era fans of Eddie Guerrero and Chyna, which is somewhat ironic given that Chyna was more like Rhea Ripley than Morgan. The pair navigated through backstage chaos, including a war between Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed, before making their way to the ring, and as they did, WWE flashed a graphic. That graphic was for Morgan's title match with Ripley at Bad Blood, but this graphic included the shark cage stipulation, which had not previously been mentioned. It was only after this graphic was displayed that Rhea would make the announcement about the shark cage in an unfortunate botch from WWE's production team. Now, Raquel Rodriguez previously revealed that she had been diagnosed with mast cell activation syndrome and has been absent since the February 26th Raw. PW Insider Elite reports creative pitches are being made for Raquel Rodriguez's return to WWE TV, and one of the plans is for her to interfere in Ripley's match. We're stressing on the point that this is just one of WWE's current plans for Rodriguez, and this might change if WWE gets a better idea. What do you think of this plan? Should WWE head in this direction and allow Ripley to start a new feud? And did you catch this botch during Raw, or was it quick enough that it passed you by? Let us know down in the comments section. In his 14 years with WWE, Jey Uso has never captured singles gold, but that changed this week when Uso dethroned Braun Breaker to win the Intercontinental Championship. Uso earned the match by beating Ilya Dragunov, Pete Dunne, and Braun Strowman 2 weeks ago, and though he and Braun had been jawing ever since, the pair had never faced off. This was a back-and-forth affair with neither able to get the consistent upper hand, and both men were able to avoid taking the pin even after one another's finishers. Breaker's super spear on the outside seemed to spell disaster for Jey, but Uso fought back with a spear and a splash for a 2.9 count, keeping fans on the edge of their seats. It took a super kick to counter another attempted spear by Breaker, plowing the champion through the barricade before Jey hit the spear splash combo again in the ring to get the win. The fans were elated to see Jey get the win, as was Rhea Ripley, who was seen yeeting along with the crowd following Jey's victory. On commentary, Joe Tessitore noted that Jey had been unsuccessful 6 times in attempts to win singles titles, with his most recent being against Gunther for the Intercontinental title back in February. Now the 12-time tag team champion can stand tall as a singles champion, and after so many attempts to win, Jey will feel a huge weight lift off his shoulders after this week's main event. As usual, the timing of Raw's ending was rather rushed, and while SmackDown had an extensive overrun for their return to the USA Network, the same can't be said for Monday nights. Jey's title celebration was cut short as the show came to an end while he was celebrating with fans who cheered him, but the celebration continued after the show. Jey broke down in tears as the crowd chanted "You deserve it," And with several wrestlers online also congratulating Uso, this is a title win many in and out of WWE have been waiting on for a long time.
You want to play? Let's play. Excusez-moi.
On September 25th, Netflix's docuseries Mr. McMahon will release on the streaming giant, promising an in-depth look at one of wrestling's most controversial figures. This 6-part series has been in development for years and is releasing amid legal and personal controversies for McMahon, including allegations of sexual trafficking. Ahead of the premiere, Vince McMahon took to Twitter to issue a rare public statement, surprising fans, as the ex-WWE CEO has been relatively quiet since his exit from the promotion. McMahon suggests that the docuseries misses the mark and criticized the producers for using editing tricks and omitting key details. He writes, "I don't regret participating in this Netflix documentary. The producers had an opportunity to tell an objective story about my life and the incredible business I built, which were equally filled with excitement, drama, fun, and a fair amount of controversy and life lessons. Unfortunately, based on an early partial cut I've seen, this doc falls short and takes the predictable path of conflating the Mr. McMahon character with my true self, Vince. The title and promos alone make that evident." McMahon adds that the doc uses footage out of context, especially concerning a lawsuit based on an affair, which he feels was done to strengthen the idea that he's just like his WWE persona. A lot has been misrepresented or left out entirely in an effort to leave viewers intentionally confused. The producers use typical editing tricks with out-of-context footage and dated sound bites to distort the viewer's perception and support a deceptive narrative. Despite McMahon's criticisms, fans remain eager to see how these 6 one-hour episodes present his complicated legacy, and the reviews to his statement have been mixed. Some have suggested that these comments are essentially damage control on McMahon's part ahead of more negative revelations from the series. Whether there's more shocking reveals to come, we'll know soon enough, and whatever this series reveals, it'll no doubt prove to be must-see content for wrestling fans. Ann Callis, the attorney of Janelle Grant, has issued a statement of her own in which she criticizes McMahon for categorizing his relationship with Janelle Grant as an affair. She states, "Vince McMahon physically and emotionally abused, sexually assaulted, and human trafficked Janelle Grant for more than 2 years. Calling his horrific and criminal behavior an affair is delusional and nothing more than a sad attempt to save his shredded reputation. Although Ms. Grant has not seen the Mr. McMahon docuseries, we hope it shines a bright light on his abhorrent and criminal actions by accurately portraying the realities of his abusive and exploitative behavior." This statement adds that Grant won't be silenced by McMahon any longer, and that the pair aim to hold to account all that are responsible for what Janelle went through. Ms. Grant will no longer be silenced by McMahon. Her story, though deeply troubling and exceptionally painful, is one that can help other abuse survivors find their voices. We seek to hold McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE accountable, and to give Ms. Grant her day in court. The lawsuit filed by Grant has been a focal point of growing legal scrutiny for McMahon, who in addition to this case, is being investigated in links to a criminal case by a federal grand jury. What's your take on Vince McMahon's statement about the Netflix docuseries? Will it reveal new insights or confirm what we already know? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Now, WWE is known for upping its game when it comes to video presentation, but a recent video shared to hype up CM Punk vs. Drew McIntyre has certainly captured the attention of fans. WWE surprised fans with this edit to say the least, as the video saw Punk's promo from last week's Raw, where he talks about his history with McIntyre. Through his promo, the screen pans over to display what really went on during significant angles of this feud with seamless editing, and the person responsible deserves a ton of credit. In addition to the incredible editing skills, WWE also did a very good job showing off CM Punk and Drew McIntyre's ongoing rivalry through this stellar viral video. Drew McIntyre was on this week's Raw and had plenty to say about CM Punk before the pair enter Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood on October 5th. McIntyre started off by saying his wife has begged him not to go through with the match before promising to make Punk bleed a lot when they enter Hell. Drew also vowed to make Punk feel more pain and suffer more than he ever has before, and brought up Punk's promo from last week where he called himself the Devil. McIntyre retaliated, saying that Punk isn't a godlike figure, but rather just a man, and fans may remember Punk telling The Rock in 2013 that your arms are too short to box with God. Though Punk is just a man, Drew added that it's appropriate that Punk called himself the devil, as this has always been about good versus evil, and the Scotsman was great in this segment. McIntyre echoed a common theme of his argument against Punk throughout this feud, that Punk is bad for the business and WWE's locker room, and Drew wants him gone. This was a short promo that saw McIntyre get to the point and send his message, and expect more from this war of words before Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood next month. Interestingly, CM Punk was reported to be backstage at Raw, as was The Miz's wife Maurice, but WWE opted against using the Best in the World during this week's show. Had WWE used him, it's likely he would have brawled with McIntyre again, but on this night, WWE wanted McIntyre's promo to be all that was needed to elevate this story.
A question we get all the time is, how do you do culinary school online? And the way we do it is by focusing.
CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre inside Hell in a Cell is a match fans are dying to see, and over the weekend, USA Network ran an article saying that this match would headline Bad Blood. Given the intensity of their feud and the stipulation, this seemed a logical main event, but behind the scenes, things may not be as clear-cut. According to internal plans shared by Fightful Select, as of last week, the main event was the tag match pitting Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns against the Bloodline. Filmed promos and vignettes at Georgia Tech, with Cody's ties to the area and a school band scheduled to play him in, indicated that this would be the main event, as did Reigns' connection to the area. While Bad Blood is still 2 weeks away and plans can always change, the current plan is for the tag match to close the show, despite the USA Network's report. If this happens, the show will be the first Bad Blood not headlined by a Hell in a Cell match, and we'll only know for sure what the plan is when the show goes live next month. On last week's Raw, the planned match of Braun Strowman versus Bronson Reed never got started, as the pair brawled through barricades and tables before they went crashing through drywall. As we mentioned, the pair continued where they left off last week by brawling as Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio arrived to Raw, and they sent one another crashing through a merch stand. The melee continued later in the show as Reed was set to face The Miz until he was ambushed by Strowman, who was clearly not finished with his fellow heavyweight. Miz confronted Strowman for interrupting his match, his moment, as Karrion Kross had put it earlier in the show, but the A-lister was drawn into the melee by Reed. After taking out The Miz and several security guards, Reed retreated up the ramp while Strowman ascended to the top rope to stand tall. Addressing the anarchy, Adam Pearce later announced that Reed and Strowman will meet next week in a last monster standing match that will prove to be heavy-hitting. But should WWE have booked this match for Bad Blood as opposed to Raw? Which monster do you want to see standing tall next week, and why? Give your thoughts down in the comments. From mid-January to March, Seth Rollins was sidelined with an injury that would prevent him from defending his World Heavyweight title on TV or at premium live events. Ahead of Elimination Chamber Perth, it was reported that the plan was for Rollins to be challenged by Bronson Reed, giving Reed a title shot in his native Australia. This would have likely been Rollins' final world title defense before WrestleMania, but his injury nixed these plans, and this week, Reed has confirmed that a match was in the plans. Speaking to 9.com.au, Reed said that he was supposed to face Rollins for the World Heavyweight title, and losing the chance to wrestle for a world title in Australia was a hard pill to swallow. It was tough. I've gone on record to say that match was set. The people that make the matches had told me I was facing Seth Rollins in Australia, which is dream stuff. Unfortunately, Seth got injured, and I never forgot that. Though he's no longer the champion, Rollins was destroyed by Reed on the post-SummerSlam edition of Monday Night Raw, writing the Visionary off of TV, and he's been missing ever since. Wade Keller of PW Torch reports that Bronson Reed is set for a significant push. He is expected to defeat Braun Strowman and take on and defeat Seth Rollins and ultimately face Gunther, where he is expected to win and become the next World Heavyweight Champion. What's your opinion on Bronson Reed becoming the next World Heavyweight Champion? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Back in June, the Wyatt Six made their debut on Raw, but waited until August to make their in-ring debut, but their name has been a question for fans, given that they have 5 members. Some have argued that Bray Wyatt, though no longer with us, is the group's sixth member, but now the group may be about to get a very real sixth member from WWE's roster. During Raw, eagle-eyed viewers noticed a Lily doll, the kind Alexa Bliss used to carry with her during her partnership with Bray Wyatt and The Fiend. The doll was laying on a shelf in the background of a backstage segment with Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio, and fans have been rewarded in the past for keeping an eye out for clues. Bliss has long been rumored to be the group's sixth member due to her previous connection with Wyatt, The Fiend, as well as Uncle Howdy himself. While some fans mistook the doll for a Jey Uso shirt cast aside, that is not the case, as the colors and shape of the item in question makes it unmistakable that this is the demonic Lily. Howdy had teased something with Bliss back in January 2023, which was derailed when Bliss found herself pregnant and gave birth to her and Ryan Cabrera's daughter Hendrix that year. Bliss's recent social media activity, including videos of her training, has raised eyebrows, and with Lily at Raw, fans continue to speculate that Bliss's return will be with the Wyatt Six. On Raw, a new Wyatt Six vignette appeared in the final hour with eerie messages like "The words of the Red" and "You speak, we follow" appearing on the screen, alongside a new QR code. Scanning it takes fans to the recapitulation page on Uncle Howdy's Diary website, and clicking on the link marked "Remember" displays a distorted image of Eric Rowan and Braun Strowman. Clicking the word "elucidate" sends fans to an image of various coordinates, and the title of the image is "Sheem," an anagram for shame. Clicking between the two words gives a hidden image of Bo Dallas watching the TV, and there is also backward text revealing the message, "People only see what they are prepared to see." Clicking on the Nightbird brings up an audio clip of someone speaking in reverse, and reversing the audio gives fans a message that repeats the phrase, "We watch, we listen, we wait." The recapitulation page also includes a puzzle that, when solved, spells out the message, "It is another thing to meddle, and you are meddling." So the question now is, who exactly is meddling? And perhaps the tease of Braun Strowman isn't a tease bringing him into the group as an ally, but rather to face him as an enemy? Strowman had previously rejected Bray Wyatt's offer to return to his side in 2020, and as we've seen under WWE's new regime, they're more than happy to reference a superstar's past angles. As to whether Strowman is now the target of the group, or if it's someone else entirely, that remains to be seen. But what do you think all this means? Let us know down in the comments. More from Raw now, as during this week's show, a vignette aired that showed a symbol that could be a sign that a popular tag team is set to return. The vignette featured what looked like Nordic runes and instantly had fans speculating that the Viking Raiders will soon be back over a year after they last teamed together. Eric and Ivar's last match as a duo took place on September 15th, 2023, as Eric would have to undergo neck fusion surgery, and Ivar would enjoy a singles push after that. Unfortunately, Ivar has since suffered a neck injury of his own, but with details scarce about the injury in question, it's possible that both men are healed and making their way back to Raw. That is at least one interpretation of this vignette, but there is another, one that teases the debut of one of AEW's top tag teams. On social media, fans pointed out that the runes look like the letters P, R, and F, with many believing that this is a tease of the WWE arrival of Penta and Rey Fenix. It's been reported for some time that the duo are joining WWE, and while it was recently reported that the pair are still under AEW contracts, this vignette has called that report into question. But who do you think this vignette is for, the Lucha Bros or the Viking Raiders? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
How about this? Brother! My son.
Earlier this year, Hikuleo signed with WWE after an impressive run in New Japan, adding another wrestler with ties to the Anoa'i family to the company's roster. It's been previously reported that WWE planned on introducing Hikuleo at Survivor Series by costing Roman Reigns in War Games, but now plans may have changed. PW Insider Elite reports that Hikuleo has been added internally to the WWE NXT roster, a step that his brothers Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa didn't take when they joined WWE this year. It appears WWE wants to give Hikuleo more time to develop as a wrestler before he joins the main roster, though it's still possible that his main roster call-up will come at Survivor Series. Whatever the case may be, expectations are high for Hikuleo in WWE, and we'll just have to see what his role is as the Bloodline storyline remains as strong as ever. One member of this angle fans haven't seen lately is Paul Heyman, who was attacked by Solo Sikoa's Bloodline in June, but there are plans in place for his return. According to a report by the Wrestling Observer, Paul Heyman is expected to return to WWE TV as a face, but as to when he'll be back, that still depends on the right timing. Now, Shinsuke Nakamura has been with WWE since 2016, but fans haven't seen a whole lot of the King of Strong Style in the ring in 2024. Nakamura's most recent match on TV was back in April with a loss to Sheamus, and for his most recent win on WWE TV, that was all the way back on the February 12th episode of Raw. During his Q&A podcast on Fightful Select, Sean Ross Sapp shared that Nakamura's absence isn't due to health as he's doing fine, but just is not being used on TV at the moment. Nakamura has been working WWE's overseas tours, but there's no word on when he'll be back on TV, and with Raw set to move to 2 hours, chances for him on TV will soon be even slimmer. While the move to 2 hours will only be for the final months of 2024, it'll mean Nakamura and others won't get screen time and will be limited to live events and pre- and post-show dark matches. But what do you make of this? What do you think Shinsuke Nakamura should be doing? How do you think Raw's move to 2 hours will affect talent? Let us know down below. On October 1st, NXT will premiere on the CW, and anticipation is growing for the Gold Brand's move, especially after the show got its own NASCAR vehicle. On Twitter, Cole Custer showed off the car, which features some of the Gold Brand's top names, including NXT champion Ethan Page, NXT Women's champ Roxanne Perez, and Trick Williams. The CW premiere will once again see NXT work with TNA, as Zachary Wentz will face Wes Lee, but fans will also get to see the NXT-TNA partnership tonight on NXT's final show on USA. Rosemary and Wendy Chu will take on Carmen Petrovich and Brynlee Reese in a tag team bout, further showcasing the growing relationship between TNA and NXT. TNA stars who have appeared for NXT include Jordynne Grace, The Rascals, Hammerstone, and of course Joe Hendry, which has certainly shaken up things on the Gold Brand. On the other side, NXT stars including Charlie Dempsey, Wes Lee, Tatum Paxley, and Wendy Chu have appeared for TNA, leaving fans of that promotion excited to see what's next. During Fightful Select's Q&A, Sean Ross Sapp brought up an interesting note, as internally, WWE and TNA don't view this deal as a partnership, but rather as a talent exchange. Triple H has explained that WWE entered this deal because they want to give talent a new experience and valuable ring time on a different stage, and we'll have to see who's next. This talent exchange is the sort of thing that would never have happened under Vince McMahon, and like WWE's policy about talent taking acting gigs, the new regime has proven beneficial for the roster. As Dragon Lee took on Carlito, the Judgment Day laid out the LWO's Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde at ringside, but Rey Mysterio was able to dispatch of JD McDonough and his son. Lee scored the victory quickly after, and while it's always good to see the talented star get a win, we have to wonder what exactly is the Judgment Day's direction outside of their feud with the Terror Twins. In the night's opening contest, Sami Zayn defeated Ludwig Kaiser, continuing his pursuit of the World Heavyweight Championship and a match with Gunther. Speaking of the champ, Gunther made his way from the locker room dressed to compete, and though he teased giving Sami a title match, he once again denied the Canadian a coveted opportunity. The New Day's troubles continued as they lost to American Made, and backstage a frustrated Woods disrespected Rey Mysterio and the LWO. Woods argued that Rey doesn't have time for him as he's not a former world champion, setting up a Woods vs. Rey match for next week. Damage Control earned a hard-fought win over the Unholy Union in a match that got plenty of time and saw the heels work over the injured eye of Kairi Sane. Io Sky delivered a picture-perfect moonsault onto Isla Dawn for the win, and what did you think of this week's Raw? Sound off in the comments, and thanks for watching.
If you've been getting scam texts like these, it was me. I said that probably means your data's been leaked, and I have all of it. Who leaked it? I did it. I leaked it. Luckily, I started using Guardio. Wait, what? With one single